In this video, we're gonna go over the 4 things that get you the most bang for your buck when it comes to low-hanging fruit that can help you be wealthier and healthier. I'm gonna get a ton of pushback for this one, so don't bite my head off, hear me out. Reducing or even cutting out alcohol consumption. I say that because I have worked with 13,000 people over the last 8 years. And the thing that changes people's health holistically, mental and physically, the most is really just moderating their alcohol consumption. There's a couple reasons for this. First, think about the money that you spend on alcohol. If you're spending time in the gym, on your nutrition, doing all these other things that matter in life that make you a healthier person, alcohol is something you're willingly paying for that is counterproductive to all of that. And a really tough question that a lot of us need to ask ourselves is, why do I drink? For me, and for a lot of people that I worked with, we drank because we were not very confident. We didn't have enough self-love, self-care in our lives, and we used it as a crutch. So it's not that alcohol is necessary to have fun or to be confident or to be a social lubricant. What it really is it's a mask. It's a cover-up for the things we haven't already addressed in ourselves. So in addition to costing us money and being counterproductive for everything else that we're doing, like sleep, hormones, inflammation, body composition, you name it, it doesn't really have any benefits in my opinion. Let me tell you a quick personal story. I gave up alcohol in 2020 of all years, and I had maybe 5 drinks on special occasions. I felt so good. I changed nothing else about my lifestyle, and I lost a ton of fat, probably mostly inflammation. My mental clarity went through the roof, and I began to recover quicker between workouts. And again, without changing my workouts or the structure of my life at all, I started to look and feel so much better. What I also noticed was I was in a performance-based position at the time. I had so much more mental capacity for performing. And that wasn't just limited to making more money through my job at the time, but it also meant I was more present and more entertaining and fun and higher energy, just an all-around better friend in my social settings. I also noticed that in sports that I played, soccer in particular, that I didn't get as anxious, or anytime really I was put on the spot. And I noticed that it was also the same way when I had challenges in my personal life, whether that was arguments with a significant other or just things going on in my own head where I was kind of beating myself up and I didn't need to. It helped me be just more centered. From a solution perspective, I'm not saying that you have to go cold turkey on alcohol. All of that's worked for me. What I'm saying you should do is try to moderate it. With most of my clients, I suggest, hey, give yourself 2 drinks maximum a week if you're drinking more than that, and just see how you feel. Another trick that you can use is if you are out in a social situation, get mocktails. I love mocktails. My girlfriend loves mocktails. I have a ton of friends who have turned on to this. You get to have a drink in your hand. It doesn't make a big deal. No one's gonna approach you about it. And it's a treat. It's still a special exception without most of the downside, right? I would avoid drinks that have too much added sugar or whatever, but there's plenty of mocktails that taste amazing that are basically just fruit juice. When I moved to Austin 3 years ago, I went through a second phase of reducing alcohol. I actually went out on my own to go dancing, and I didn't know anybody, and without having a drink in your hand, I was super anxious. But then after forcing myself to be in that atmosphere for 2-3 times a week, a few weeks later, I was so comfortable. Instead of being nervous and sweating and worried that everybody was judging me or cared about what I was doing, I realized, oh, they're either all drunk or too absorbed in their conversations or their actions or the dance floor or whatever that they don't really care about me. And I had this renewed sense of confidence. So I made friends that I didn't know. I danced like nobody was watching, and I never had anything but a club soda and lime, and it was awesome. So I saved money, I got more confident, I looked damn good, and I performed a lot better all around. The second lowest hanging fruit is just trade out processed foods for whole foods. Now there's a ton of nuance here, and I want to avoid all of that. So what I will say is whole foods are things like fruits, meat, vegetables, milk, honey, eggs, you get it. If you are preparing these foods minimally, like steaming, grilling, sauteing in butter, not seed oils, whatever, that, in my opinion, is unprocessed food, because you're taking real foods and you're making it palatable, edible, but you're not adding in a bunch of refined processed ingredients. A lot of people say, Bates, eating healthy is super expensive. Au contraire, mademoiselle. Yes, if you look at just the grocery bill and you isolate that, you might spend, probably will spend, more than if you were eating processed foods. But there's a hidden cost to that. If you look at the nutrients, processed foods, super inflammatory, just like alcohol, very counterproductive to all the things that you're doing to bolster your health. And they're nutritionally void. If they do say that they have nutrients in them, whether that's on the box or the label or whatever, if you do your research, you realize like, oh, these are not bioavailable nutrients. So it's basically a false claim. It's basically false advertising. Whereas nutrients found in whole real foods are bioavailable, easily accessible, will boost your metabolism, will support your hormones, help you recover, and so much more. So the hidden cost isn't necessarily monetary in the short run, but in the long run, it is monetary. More on that later. The third other piece of the lowest hanging fruit that just really changes your life for the better, at least it did mine, and like thousands of other people, is choosing a way to be active that you enjoy. I think that there's a problem with saying, oh, because this person looks this way, I'm gonna do what they did. Or I'm told that this is the right way to do things, so I'm gonna do this. Screw all that. What are you attracted to when it comes to activity? Do you like CrossFit? Do you want to be a bodybuilder? Do you like long distance running? Do you like calisthenics? Do you like sports? Do you like disc golfing? Do you like riding a horse into the sunset and wrangling bulls? I don't care what it is. If you're active, if you're outside, you should go do that thing. There is not a right or wrong way to be active. It all depends on what you're interested in and what your goals are. The easy way to implement this is just say, I want to be active every day. That doesn't mean hours every day. That just means some sort of movement every day that you enjoy. Why does it matter that you enjoy it? Great question. Because you are more likely to continue to do it, and you have a connection between your brain and your body. You actually have an enhanced physiological response. So if you enjoy doing something, you will get more out of the time that you're spending on that if you're enjoying it versus if you're doing it in a resentful fashion, or it feels obligatory or checklist item. So reframing your perspective around your activity is really where the money's at. The fourth one is a little more abstract, and I don't really have evidence to this. I just can say I've seen it change my life and thousands of others. So you might have to take my word for it, or don't, but you could try it and see if it works. The concept is choosing to have side quests that are fun every day. I'll give you an example because that's clear as mud. I love puns and dad jokes. So when I am writing an email to someone who's helping me build some sort of resource for my business, or I'm talking to a client on a consultation call, especially if it's the first time that I'm talking to them, I try to weave a pun in there or something clever or a dad joke just to see if they'll notice. Then I try to keep a straight face. And if they break character, I will, or sometimes I will because I just can't help myself. The point is this is a little side quest. And if I didn't have this little objective on the side that I find entertaining, I don't really care what other people think, but I find it funny and amusing, it weaves in a little bit of stress management. I mean, dopamine and other things, sure. Mostly stress management and humor and play into my life. And it's fairly seamless. And having play in your life is so important. You can literally go outside and play, and which is kind of overlapping with the movement and the activity every day we talked about. But there's something about having this side objective that is just so fun and alluring. If you go through your whole day and you just feel like, man, I resent everything that I have to do today. You're like, oh, I'm doing this and I need to get this done. I get to do this, but also I wonder how I can weave this in here. It just enhances fun and creativity. Play is massively underrated, and it does have a physiological effect and a psychological effect on us, whether or not we'd like to admit it. So I want to summarize all of this and add another nugget for you to marinate on. Trust me, this is the nuggets of nuggets. Experiment with these things. See how you feel. Don't just take my word for it, even though I just told you to take my word. But that was for the nugget, not these 4 things. The first, experiment with moderating or cutting out alcohol. Start with 30 days, but I would encourage you to try 90 because 60 to 90 days is where you'll really feel the difference. 2, experiment with removing all processed foods and adding in whole foods only in their place. Again, 30 days minimum to really start to feel the differences. I would suggest doing 90, and you will be surprised by just doing these 2 things so far, how radically your energy and your body composition and your sleep quality and your workouts can change. 90 days is life altering. 3, moving every day. Again, would 30 days is like the minimum threshold for any good experiment. However, if you're already getting a ton of movement in, maybe you're not getting in movement every day. And so instead of adding it, your workouts or changing your workouts or changing all your activities, just add some sort of small movement in there. It could be playing with your dogs outside, with your children, throwing frisbee with a friend. It could even be working on things like mobility, which a lot of us neglect. And the fourth is injecting play. What's that movement? It's like, get ready for the monkeypox shot. I just took this for a terrible turn. Everybody, shots. Okay, what even was I saying? You can inject play. All right, I need to find another word. You can strategically place play in every day and have a great time with it. It is vastly underrated how much this can affect your mood as well as your physiology. Probably my favorite tip overall personally. These are 4 of the things that will impact your life the most in the shortest amount of time. The underlying thread that weaves them together is this idea of long-term investment. From a monetary standpoint and a time standpoint, these things might take some time and some money. If you're looking at the short run, it will look like it's more expensive. If you look at the long run, however, it's actually an investment and it's a money saver. I don't need to tell you that medical bills, surgeries, medicine, prescriptions are expensive. It's freaking wild. Imagine over the span of your whole life that you add up all these expenses and you cut them in half, a third, maybe even a quarter, maybe 10% of what the average person needs to pay over their life for these things. But that's just the literal cost. Just like the hidden cost with processed foods, there's a hidden cost for not doing these things. You'll become cynical, jaded, possibly unhealthy. You might have joint issues, maybe the ability to do simple things like take care of yourself and walk around and cook and clean. You could be bedridden. There's tons of terrible things that can happen if you don't do these things. What is that worth to you at the end of your life? If you are an 80, 90, 100, hell, 120-year-old mother, if you're a centenarian and you can still hit your workouts, you still love life, you still laugh, you're vital, everybody thinks that you're younger than you are, you can walk and be outdoors and take care of yourself and take care of others, what is that worth? How much time and money? That's a question I can't answer for you. I know the answer for myself. The point is these 4 things are in the foundation and it's really not that big of an effort. It's really not that much money compared to what you can potentially yield for your entire life. Do you want to be the tortoise? Do you want to be the hare? As always, be your own scientist, experiment, figure it out for yourself. Let me know what you think about these. Send this to somebody that needs to hear it. And if you have any topics specifically you'd like me to cover in the future, let me know because I would love to hit those on the head. See you next time for a controversial video.